about second breakfast.
Time for second breakfast.
What's up, everybody? Monster from Breakdowns for Breakfast here with another second breakfast. So I played my first show with Thoughtless, the ultimate KoRn experience, I think is the full name. The KoRn tribute band that I just recently joined. And I was going to talk about it a little bit because it was kind of a, cool thing. I've never played in a tribute band before, so it was a new experience. I'm not going to do a second breakfast after every single show I play. At least I'm not planning on it. It depends on how much content we need. It depends on how behind we are. But no, it was a really cool experience. So as I said a week or two ago on a different second breakfast, I mentioned that I had joined two new bands. One, a kind of a variety cover band from Woods of Terror. So we play a little bit of everything, rock, pop, rap, country, but we do it in, full monster costumes and makeup. And then the other band was called Thoughtless, and it is a KoRn tribute band. Obviously just play KoRn songs. However, there is a theatrical piece to that as well. Not quite as elaborate as the Crypt Kicker vibe, but still masks, and some guys are wearing wigs to get sort of the dreadlock thing. I didn't do the wig route. I'll explain what I did when we get there. But so when I joined these two bands, Crypt Kicker had a gig the week before Thoughtless. So it was like, okay, I have to essentially learn 30 to 35 songs for Crypt Kicker, and then another like 15, 16, 17 songs for Thoughtless. It was a lot to cram in my brain. Thankfully, these were all songs I have heard before, just not necessarily songs that I had played a lot. Some of them, yes, I had learned how to play some of these songs over the years, but a lot of it was just, learning new stuff. So anyway, got through that Crypt Kicker gig, and then for Thoughtless, we had two full band practices. And, again, I did a lot of homework. I did a lot of practicing on my own. And so the other guitar player in Thoughtless, I can't say enough nice things about him because he really, really helped me. He knew that I was kind of crunching, trying to get everything in my brain for two different bands and two different styles of playing. One's on 6-string guitars, one's on 7-string guitars. It was just a lot to try to get in my head all at once. And he was super supportive and super helpful. He basically learned both parts on almost all the KoRn songs and was basically like, what part do you feel comfortable playing? I will play the other part. And we really were able to, mesh well in practice. And I don't mind taking feedback. If you're telling me, hey, that sounds good, but try it like this, or whatever. I'm pretty open to that sort of thing. So me and him get along very well, I think. And so anyway, we have our two practices. The first one was definitely a little rough. The second one went pretty smooth. We brought the bulk of our costumes and sort of did a kind of sort of dress rehearsal to get familiar with that. And so then that was a Thursday night, and then the gig was on Saturday as of time of recording this, just a couple days ago. Today is Wednesday. It was this past Saturday. So the show was at Hangar 1819, the venue that me and Danger talk about all the time on the show. And we had a couple of openers. The first band just did original music, but they had a female vocalist. They were really good. I want to say they were called Transmute or Trans something like that. Really good band. They had a female vocalist who sang and screamed. They had a keyboard player. It was heavy but melodic. They were a lot of fun. And then Sick Man and Alice in Chains tribute, who were also really, really good. Alice in Chains is not an easy band to emulate, and they were real tight and real solid. Actually featured some members from some bands that I used to do shows with a lifetime ago, back in my original, new metal bands and stuff. So it was cool to see those guys again. I felt really bad because in order to get ready for our set, I was backstage pretty much their entire set, and I felt really bad about it. But I'll explain why in a minute. But it was cool because as we had to get there super early. I think we got there around 5. Doors didn't open till 7, but we got a sound check and stuff. But a lot of my family came, which was very cool. My brother and his wife came. My dad was there, and Danger and Mrs. Danger, and they brought the triplets. It was awesome. Apparently, it was the triplets' first live music experience. I want to say they are, they told me, I think 10 years old. Danger, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're 10, and they had a great time. And he even sent me a really cute video the day after of them, him asking them, is he the best guitar player you've ever seen? And they're all like, yes, it was great, it was so great. And it was just like, that's so sweet. They have no frame of reference. I'm terrible, but it was that was definitely a highlight of the whole weekend was getting that video the next day. But yeah, so we get there, we sound check, and we're in our street clothes. We look completely normal. However, I mentioned earlier some of the guys were rocking like dreadlock wigs to, that's KoRn. So I didn't want to wear a wig, and I, didn't know what exactly to do. So I was looking at some old pictures, and back in the day, early in KoRn's, history, before the dreadlocks, Head used to have these little like braid things all over his head that was like the beginnings of his dreads. So I had my wife do that for me. So I had like, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 of these little like sprigs sticking out of my head. Definitely a lot of people thought that was funny, and that's cool. Was it a little silly? Yes, but it also fit. If you look back at those pictures of Head, he had something very similar. So I thought it was a cool look. The guys in the band thought it was cool. It fit, what we were doing. But so, we're hanging out and mingling pretty much. We were supposed to go on around 10. So around 9, a little after, we went back into the backstage area and started getting ready. Because it is a tribute band, it's not only that you have to, the way we look at it, not every band does this necessarily, but in addition to playing the songs, we wanted to at least hearken the visual of KoRn. And the way we decided to do that was to implement the Crypt Kicker horror aspect of it with KoRn's, dark imagery and stuff. It kind of fits. So, like, for example, we're all wearing Adidas, some form of Adidas tracksuit, or we're all wearing Adidas shoes. We're all decked out in Adidas stuff. But, like, our lead vocalist, he actually basically painted his body black and wore this mask that covers like the top part of his face, and it's kind of zombie-esque, and it has dreads attached to it. And he had a cool name for it. It was like, Infected Davis or Jonathan Infected. I can't remember, but he actually like had a name. It was pretty cool. Our drummer wore a bunny mask, very, very similar to the rabbit iconography on See You on the Other Side. Me and the other guitar player basically were just decked out in Adidas. I wore sort of this sort of ninja mask thing, and our vocalist did some like paint on my face, like black and red. It was kind of cool looking. I was more concerned with like, I got to get these guitar parts down, like make me look cool, help me fit with the vibe of the band. But ultimately I don't really have time to come up with a backstory and a really cool like image right now. I did a better job for Crypt Kicker. I think we uploaded a picture of what I look like for that, which I'm still not 100% sold on that either. I've got other ideas, but it was sort of like, I've got a couple of weeks to pull all this together. I got to just roll with what I got. But anyway, so we're backstage getting ready, and we're trying to we're painting our lead singer, and we're getting our masks on and getting our Adidas stuff on. And the first song that we play is Chutes and Ladders. Now, if you're a KoRn fan, you know Chutes and Ladders starts with about a minute's worth of like bagpipes. None of us know how to play bagpipes yet, so we actually have like a sample machine. And so we hit play on the sample, and it starts playing, and we kind of use that as our intro. We're all backstage. It's playing the intro to Chutes and Ladders, and we come walking out, and it was pretty cool. It was a decent turnout. It wasn't packed, but enough people to make you feel like you're doing something right. It was fun. But I thought that was a really cool way to start the show to get people really hype. I honestly don't remember the entire set list in order off the top of my head. But one of the things that I really dig about the set that we have, and obviously it was our first gig, we're still learning more songs, is it's a good mix. It's all the hits. Like if you go to Spotify right now and look up KoRn, those first 10, 12 songs, they're most played, we play all of those. But it's a nice mix of, yes, we do Blind and Clown and Chutes and Ladders off the first record, but then we also do Twisted Transistor and Coming Undone and Y'all Want a Single, which are all like newer era KoRn. Nothing off like the most newest couple records. Not to say that we won't, it's just we haven't put that in yet. But real good crowd response. Everybody knew pretty much every word, which is good. If you're coming to a KoRn tribute band, I'm assuming you are pretty familiar with most of KoRn's material. When we got done, we had a really good time taking pictures with people. We signed a couple T-shirts and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I will say the last song we played was Blind, which, my first thing was, would it be too cliche to start with Blind? Because I know they used to do that a lot. And my idea was to have the drummer on stage doing the cymbal, and we all kind of walk out gradually. But instead, it was cooler because we got to do it with Chutes and Ladders, and the drummer could kind of come out too, make a bit of an entrance that way. But yeah, so we played probably about an hour, give or take. And we had a really good time. Was it perfect? No, absolutely not. I'm not going to speak for the other guys. I just know there was a lot of stuff that I was a little goofy on. But the nice thing is with KoRn, especially the guitars, if me and the other guy are a little bit off and it has a little extra sloppy dissonance to it, it's KoRn. It's KoRn. Okay, I'm not going to do that. It fits the vibe, A matter of fact, it was funny. The second practice we had, we recorded a lot of the stuff, and we were listening back to it. No, excuse me. The first practice, when we were still a little extra rough, we were listening back to it before we started practicing the second time. And I remember hearing bits and pieces of some stuff and being like, honestly, it needs some work. We're not quite there yet. But if you would have told me that this was some like bootleg audience recording from some KoRn show in like 99, I might believe you, because it's like right there. Because I saw KoRn in 99. It's like, yeah, they're jumping all over the place. They're not super tight. That's never been one of their things. Even on the albums, especially those first couple, if you go back and listen to Self-Titled and Life is Peachy, there's tons of stuff where they're clearly not playing to a click track. They clearly didn't tune the guitars before they started. It's part of the KoRn charm. And honestly, that's sort of, I don't want to say like alleviate some of the stress, but it did make me feel like, you know what? If we do get a little bit off, if something does, as long as we don't stop a song, as long as we don't go completely off the rails, we'll be fine. And that's exactly what happened. We played 16 KoRn songs, and we played them pretty damn good. And we had a lot of fun while doing it. We're jumping all over the stage. I will say, as a musician who likes to be energetic on stage, when you've got all the accoutrement of costumes and masks and stuff, it helps with that. Like, it really, really does. You feel, I don't want to say more comfortable, but I think you just sort of like, you're not so worried about like, oh, if I stop moving, I'll look boring, because you just look cool already. Like, you already have something that makes people, makes you stand out. So, but yeah, as of this recording, July 1st, there is no more Thoughtless gigs booked. However, we did get some cool pictures and some cool videos that are already kind of like circulating around. We saw some buddies of ours that were there posting stuff that I think will potentially get us some more gigs. Also, we brought Sick Man. They were from, I want to say, the Charlotte area to Greensboro, which is, a couple hours apart, to try to do like a little show swap and see if we can't get out that way. North Carolina has a plethora of cool venues all over the state. There's enough, I don't want to say big cities, but places like Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Charlotte, Raleigh, like all of these places have good-sized music venues. So I think that as time progresses, I think Thoughtless will find that following and play at some of these bigger venues. And then Crypt Kicker is the perfect for a rowdy bar that wants a little something different from their cover band. So I'm having a good time with this. Now that we've got a couple shows under our belt, there are 3 Crypt Kicker gigs coming up this month that I'm still learning new songs for, and I'm still tightening up some of the ones I already quote unquote learned. So still a lot of work, but I'm having fun. And just wanted to share that. Now that I got a gig with both bands under my belt, just figured I would come out here and talk about it for a little bit. And I'm going to try to post some pictures and videos whenever this episode goes up, so you can check it out. And I hope you have a great day.